You will be forgiven if you're driving and you see this behind your rear mirror and you'll be like, oh, it's just another Tucson. But no, this is not a Tucson. This is the 2026 Hyundai Santa-Cruz XRT. XRT is Hyundai's light off-road vehicles that can go off-roading to light trails. Welcome to my channel. I do car reviews and a little bit of DIY stuff. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more content like this and many, many more. And I'm gonna go over all the specs, the features, all the off-road specific hardware that this Santa-Cruz has. As it sits, it stickers for about $41,000 because it has a lot of goodies. Again, off-road focus. Thank you for watching and stay tuned. That is coming up. And before I continue, I want to give a big thank you to Hyundai for allowing me to have this vehicle delivered in my home test area for me to live with, review it, film it for you guys. Thank you very much, Hyundai, and thank you all for watching. Stay tuned. All right, let's talk 2026 Hyundai Santa-Cruz XRT. This is the off-road focused version of the Santa-Cruz. This sits below the top trim limited. And then there's a limited and there's a SE. So there's a couple of little trims. For those of you who have not seen a Hyundai key, modern day key, so this is what it looks like. If you flip it over like this, you see the Hyundai H. So you have lock, unlock, remote start, panic, and this opens the, you hold it to open the hatch in this particular case because it is a pickup truck, and that's pretty much it. And starting with the key, let's start the front end. If you guys can see what looks like the headlights are not. And if you see those lights kind of flickering on camera, they don't do that in real life. That's unfortunately how LEDs look like. The actual headlights are down there. As you guys can see, those are the low beam, and then right, that little arrow is the turn signal. So if I lock it and unlock it again, you guys can see the actual headlights. This one being the XRT gets XRT specific trim starting up front. The grille, as you can see, is very matte black. Hyundai logo is all blacked out. You get these big orange recovery hooks on both sides. A little bit more aggressive front end. The colors, I forgot the actual name, escapes my mind, but I will put it in post what the color of the color is. But the XRT trims also get a little bit of wider fenders, and they all come with Continental terrain contact off-road tires. These are 245/60 wrapped on 18-inch wheels. These are specific, of course, to the XRT. The limited comes with 20-inch wheels. The mirrors are also matte black, not body color. Limited ones come with body color. It does have 360 camera, so it has camera on the front, on the sides, and no sunroof on this one. I don't know why, if it's because of the XRT is specific, but on the sides you do have, again, flat black mirror covers. You got chunky trims. It does say Santa Cruz right there on the right hand side. Actually, you know what, let me go over onto the side where the sun is hitting it so you guys can see the details a little bit better. There you go, much better. The paint, it looks very good in the sun, obviously. And this actually has a decent sized ground clearance. It's actually 8.6 inches off the ground, which should tackle, again, light trails, nothing crazy. And of course, during the winter months, if you live in the northern climate states, you can of course tackle snow without a problem. And it does have a couple of different terrain modes, which we'll go over in the interior section in a little bit. And there it is. There's the little bed. The bed is 4.4 feet 4 inches long. It's comparable to its competition, the Ford Maverick, because besides the Ford Maverick, the Santa Cruz is the only other little pickup truck available in the market, unless you go all the way to like the Tacoma, Ford Ranger, Chevy Colorado, you know, GMC, I think Canyon, and so on. There's no real competitor to these two little trucks. This one has a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, making 281 horsepower and 311 pounds-feet of torque. Made it to an 8-speed automatic. And you can see here, back here, you do have side steps right here. You could step right here, you could step into the bed, so you could just go like so and step in here. And then now that we're up here, we could just unlatch. If you go like this, I have to unlock it though, and I have to open the hatch actually. And once you do that, then you can unlatch this standard roller style bed cover that comes standard in the XRT models. You do also have an in-bed trunk, which if you open like so here, and then you have an additional cargo flexibility. It does have drain plugs, so you could basically turn this into a cooler, and it is weather sealed, so water is not going to get in here or anything like that. And which is pretty cool, I gotta say. And then see the drain plugs right here. You can just take them out, and then of course it will drain into the floor. And closing this guy, you also have, of course, built-in track system for cargo management on both sides. You do have standard LED lighting. See LED light in there. And you also get a 115 volt outlet right here. You can plug in whatever you want when you're out there in a campsite or trail or whatever. So super cool. Also, this hatch is adjustable in 2 levels. Right now is on its upright position. Of course, standard is lower, and you can do that by releasing this guy here. It's a little tricky to do with one hand, but I'll do my best. Let's see. Yeah, you gotta push it. You gotta lift this right here and then push it up, and then you can take it out, and then you can move it to the standard position, which is down here. This way it makes it flat. And then when you're done, you just simply pull this guy like so, and then you could just that's open, this is closed, lock it up, and it's making me look bad. Hold on. And then there it latches, and then you have a complete flat floor. And then once you lock it, obviously you can still open it, which is interesting. Oh, there you go. I guess it doesn't matter. I guess you can still open it even if the car's locked. That's very interesting. Yep, there you go. All right, it's locked. And you can also use these little mounting holes to mount kind of like a rack for bikes or whatever the case may be. Fuel doors right here. It uses regular fuel, no premium anything. And it's a good looking little truck. Unfortunately, Hyundai is going to pull the plug on it, sadly. There are supposed rumors that they're gonna come back with something different. So let's see what they come up with. Before we go in the interior, let me just pop the hood real quick, show you guys the powertrain on this Hyundai Santa-Cruz. If I can open again, this is a little hard to do with one hand. Let's see. And it's also very hot. And there it is, the 2.5-liter 2.5 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. Like I said earlier, making 281 horsepower and a whopping 311 pounds-feet of torque. 8-speed automatic, and it can tow 5,000 pounds, which is very impressive. All right, let's take a look at the interior, the tech, the features, and then we go for my quick drive and final thoughts. Stay tuned for that. Let's step inside real quick. You just put your hand on the door handle, mirrors blink, it unlocks. You could also lock it like so, only on the front 2 doors. And again, to unlock it and get in here, And materials are decent. Go away, little bug. They're not too bad. Again, this is not the luxury version, which is the limited. The limited is going to have, instead of synthetic leather like this one, it will have the real deal, the real leather, heated and cool seats, and all the more creature comforts, which we'll go over in a little bit. But overall, this is not a bad little truck. Fuel economy is rated at 28 or so, give or take. But the materials are nice. You know, they got a little fabric material here. Unfortunately, there is piano black on the door handles. I mean, the door panels. The windows are auto up and down on the front. They're regular in the back. Power mirrors, of course, door locks. And you got a decent sized pocket here. You know, hard plastic down here, which it's fine because this is where you're going to be hitting everything. The seat, driver's seat, is power with two-way lumbar support. And because it's the XRT, it has the XRT emblem, embossed in the back of the seat. And they're okay. They're not too bad. They're not uncomfortable. You do have little controls here on the side. You have the dimmer switch, the bed light on and off, traction control, tow mode, and things like that. Because again, it can tow up to 5,000 pounds. And getting in here, you're greeted by dual 12.3-inch displays. One for instrument cluster duty and the other one for infotainment. And put your foot on the brake. Start button is right here. Let's turn it on because it is a little on the warm side today as I film this. And if you've been in modern Hyundais, the tech is excellent in Hyundais. Starting with their very famous lane watch camera, which is pretty cool. So what that does is it activates the camera on each mirror because this has 360 camera. So you're making a left turn or changing lanes, it will turn on the left camera. You turn it on to the right, it turns on the right camera. Genius technology, and I believe everyone should be doing this in every vehicle, especially the vehicles equipped with 360 camera. This infotainment system got updated in 2025, so this is an all new infotainment system for Hyundai. Super easy to use. You have little buckets, you have weather, you have sports, you have Hyundai Pay, which is Hyundai's payment system. You can put it in for parking garages and tolls and things of that nature. Vehicle maintenance. Then you have, of course, setup. Here's your vehicle setup. You got vehicle, navigation, sound, device connections, user profiles, voice command, screen layout, display, cluster, which you can change how that looks like. Right now it's set to modern. If I set it to classic, it goes back to old school dials, if that's what you prefer. Or you could make it even simple, and simple, that's what it looks like. And then you could change it to style A, style C, or leave it depending on the drive modes, and it will do its thing based on what you set it to the drive modes. I like to keep it on modern vehicle, and this little center screen is controlled by this little button right here. So you press this little guy here, and that you can cycle through a compass. You have the radar cruise control screen, and it tells you, and you can see the little itty bitty Santa-Cruz. If I'm braking, it turns on the brake lights and everything. It's pretty cool. And at night, it will actually turn on the headlights. Let's see if I turn on. Yeah, there it goes. It actually shows the headlights on, which is hilarious how Hyundai did that. Pretty funny. And these things right here are the eye tracking technology. So if you're driving on cruise control mode, which this vehicle does have Hyundai Driving Assist 2, it will, Highway Driving Assist 2, not Hyundai. Highway Driving Assist 2, where it completely takes over and it drives completely in stop and go traffic. That's how the car knows if you're paying attention or not. So if you start looking down or whatever. So in essence, it will drive by itself as long as you are paying attention to the road and not looking down or whatever before it starts yelling at you. Right side of the steering wheel is the controls for the media. So you have mode, you have track forward, backwards, volume up and down, mute. If you press that, very satisfying little scrolly wheel, which is pretty cool. Favorites for pretty much anything. Favorites for settings. Favorites for media. So if you press, also speaking of jumping all over the place a little bit, but let's finish up the steering wheel first. Back on the left hand side, you have control for the cruise control. So here's how you turn it on and off, and this is how you set the distance, the following distance, lane keep and lane departure warning, and steering. Super easy, straightforward to set up system. And moving back to the infotainment, when you press, Hyundai also gives you a healthy mix of touchscreen and physical media. So you have home, map, because this vehicle does have factory navigation. You do have like a little split screen thing here. You do have search, you have media. So when you go here, you have all your media selections. You have FM, AM, satellite radio, Bluetooth audio, USB if that's what you like, Amazon Music built in, SoundCloud, sounds of nature, which is always comical. Basically, it's kind of like a sleep machine. It plays sounds of nature, which is kind of hilarious. Of course, it has wired and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And then if you continue to seek forward, track forward, and then this is the setup button. Super easy. And these are your hazards. And then right below that is your capacitive touch climate control. So it is dual zone. As you can see, passengers can adjust it accordingly. This trim does not have cooled seats, but if it did, it would be right here, right over here, heated and cooling and heated steering wheel. This just has the heating. Kind of cool how they put this little recirculation button to make it look like the pickup truck, which is kind of cool. And right below that, where the shifter is, you have USB-C for 100-watt charging. So there, that in this mode is charging only, and here is charging in data for the infotainment. You have another one here. You do have a wireless charging pad right there, and a traditional 12-volt cigarette style outlet for those old school chargers. You get a little bit of a cubby right here, and a decent sized glove box. No auto dimming mirror in this particular trim, just regular standard old school mirror. The lighting inside is all LED, so everything in here is LED. No sunroof, like you guys can see in this one that has no sunroof. I believe the Limited does have sunroof. And moving back to the center console, it does have a traditional shifter. Super nice. You can put it like so for manual mode. You can go up for upshift and down for downshift. Super cool. And you do get driving mode. So if you press this guy here, then you go into terrain mode. So you do have terrain mode. You got snow, mud, and sand, and that configures the all-wheel drive system. So if you do it in snow mode, it will start turning on and off. Mud, it turns on, as you guys can see, downhill assist, which is basically like a downhill cruise control. And then sand mode, if you're in sand, it adjusts the all-wheel drive system for when you're in sand. And then if you press it one more time, then it goes to drive mode. So you got normal, sport, and smart. Smart basically will adjust the car power, throttle based on its input. So if you floor it, it'll say, oh, he wants power, he or she wants power, and then we'll just adjust the vehicle accordingly and give you what you ask it for, which is fine. And then you could I leave it normally in normal when I'm driving around for my reviews. And the cabin is very nice. I mean, if you've been in a modern Tucson, this is going to look very familiar. There might be some slight differences between the two of them, but for the most part, they're very similar on the inside. Basically, all modern Hyundais do no longer have the H like back in the day. They do have 4 dots, which is, I believe, is H in Morse code. So there's no more H on their steering wheels. This one, sadly, is not heated, but it is tilt and telescoping, so you can, of course, adjust it to your liking. You do have a decent sized little cubby in the middle, and this is like a removable little coin tray or whatever. No lights, no power back in there. And that's pretty much it up front. Let's jump into the back seats real quick. Oh, and before we do that, if you put the vehicle in reverse, you'll see the 360 camera here in action. So that's the backup view. That's like a bird's eye view, and you can do this if you're gonna hook up to a trailer. That view, these are the sides, and then that's just the whole back without the 360. And then this shows you kind of like a little 3D vehicle here, so which is kind of interesting, kind of like a video game, so to speak. So it's pretty cool that they do that. And let me just put it back to how it was. And that's pretty much it. And you can of course also activate that camera by pressing this button right here. And if you're sitting, you can snoop on people, whoever's around your car, while you're parked. All right, let's jump into the back seats, and then we go for a quick drive and my final thoughts. Stay tuned for that. All right, let's jump into the back seats of the Santa Cruz. Materials get a little rougher back here. Like the front, it was softer material. This here is rougher and hard plastic. You still retain that fabric here. Door handle, more of that shiny black plastic. Cup holders are actually in the doors. They're actually not center mounted cup holders. The seat, that's what it looks like. And this will not be a pickup truck without being able to do this. And you could do this for both sides or just one side. And the jack and tools are on that side. And you do get under seat storage, which is pretty cool and nice for them to do that. And stepping in here, I am 5'8". The seat is adjusted to how I drive. Unfortunately, let me turn on the light there. There's not that much room. This is not a big vehicle. This is not a big pickup truck. You do get a little bit of creature comforts, like these climate vents back here. And you get two USB-C ports down there. You get a pocket behind the passenger seat. And this little guy, you can open it manually, not power, which is an interesting omission from Hyundai. So, but this is just, you can just do this. You get a little bit more, and it does have built-in defrost. You do get LED lighting in here. And let me spin the camera around, and this is pretty much the type of headroom I get in here. It would have been nice if it did have a little armrest right here, just like its SUV sibling, for comfort, you know what I mean? So you could just do this. But that's pretty much it back here. Let's take this Hyundai Santa Cruz for my first drive and final thoughts. Stay tuned for that. All right, let's drive the 2026 Hyundai Santa Cruz XRT. This is all-wheel drive as well, so let me adjust my mic here real quick. Just keep that in mind. This is not, you can get it in front-wheel drive, but why would you? Unless you want to save money, which is fine. And it does have a little bit of oomph, which you'll find out shortly. When I do my traditional here highway loop in my New York roads. I have it in normal mode right now. I don't have it in sport mode. So, and it's comfortable. I mean, this is, you know, if you want something small, let's say if you live in a major city and you don't want, you know, you don't want to, let's say an F-150, using it as a F-150 as the extreme, which is considered to be a full-size pickup truck, and you want something small to be able to get your plants or do an IKEA run or Home Depot, whichever the case, this is a very good option, as well as its competitor, the Ford Maverick, which they're very, very close. This is more expensive than the Maverick as it sits. Again, this is the XRT, the XRT trim. The Limited gets heated steering wheel, heated and cooled seats. You do get a sunroof on the Limited. You get a little bit more creature comforts. I'm not sure if you get heated seats in the back on the Limited. That I'm not certain, but nonetheless, it's the civilized one compared from the two. So let me get in here real quick, do my usual highway loop, and that's stuff I have in the bed, my cleaning equipment. And oh yeah, this thing, the 311 horsepower, 11 torque is definitely noticeable. Love that camera, absolutely love that blind spot camera. And if I set the cruise control here to a healthy following distance, and let me change lanes here real quick. And yeah, I mean, it's a civilized little SUV, kind of an SUV, because this is based on the Tucson, so, which is a good platform to begin with. But over here, just driving, it's doing a good job on keeping itself centered in the lane. It's not wandering or anything like that. It's also, as we speak, it's paying attention to my eyes based on this little sensor here in front of me. Let me change lanes here real quick. And of course, there is a pickup truck in front of me, so it immediately slowed down. And if I change the screen here, I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but it's showing vehicles as little cubes, which is kind of funny how it shows them like little they look like little white cubes, which is interesting. But the 8.6 inches of ground clearance, that's impressive. That's very impressive on this XR3 trim, because you get a lot of height. So, which is good again for light off-road trails or parks or whatever. And of course, during the winter months, when you want to go out there and tackle snow and stuff like that. If this was an approved highway, the the highway driving assist feature will be enabled, which will be indicated in the cluster with a HDA symbol. And if it has automatic lane change, it will also indicate that on the cluster, which means that all you have to do is hit the turn signal and it will change lanes for you by itself, which is pretty cool. And it does it, and then, you know, the only thing is, I noticed it will not turn off the turn signal by itself unless you just slightly tap it. But overall though, this is not bad. Even though this has like all-terrain tires and things like that, it's a pretty decent little pickup truck. You know, sadly, it's going away. So we shall see what Hyundai comes up with next. Hopefully they do return to the pickup truck market with something competitive, appealing, and of course, price conscious. But all right, this has been my quick review and first drive of the 2026 Hyundai Santa-Cruz XRT. I first saw this in the New York International Auto Show last year in 2025, and I thought it was pretty cool. This was the kind of second generation of it, so it received a major overall refresh, exterior, interior, new tech, new everything for 2025, which carry over into 2026. All right, if you like what you see, just consider subscribing, hitting that like button. I really appreciate it. It helps me tremendously. And I will see you all on the next one. Take care and stay safe.